This here is the 6th and final issue of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Pink comic by Boom Studios. So, we begin with Tommy and the main set of Power Rangers stranded on another planet. Serpentera is towering over the Ninja Mega Falconzord, which is out of action because Rita and Zed used a disruptor on it. The Rangers begin to move towards their Megazord, ducking behind the rocks as they go. Kat then hears something approaching. The Rangers look up and see Typhonus, Titanus and Tor approaching. We get to see Kimberly's team piloting the Zords. She is inside Typhonus with Serge and Britt, Zack inside Tor's cockpit, and Trini is inside Titanus. The TV series did not show cockpits for Tor and Titanus, so it was nice to see Boom Studios' interpretations here. Rita is confused by the arrival of the Zords, and then Kimberly announces they are there to help the Power Rangers with the newly named Typhonus Ultrazord. This new combination was quite cool to see, but its arrival blows the other Rangers' cover, so Serpentera heads towards them. Kimberly starts questioning her own confidence after hearing Tommy take the lead, but then she resumes the mission and her team break the Ultrazord formation. Zack sends Tor straight towards Serpentera and crashes into it. Lord Zed then sends his putties after the Rangers. The putties are depicted with teeth here, but in the TV series, no teeth were ever shown, so they look really menacing in this comic. I know the events here take place in the 3rd season of the TV show, and the Tenga Warriors were the foot soldiers, but they were brought to Zed by Rito, who is absent here, so using the Zed putties kind of does make sense. Anyway, after Zack sent Tor crashing into Serpentera, the disruptor is taken offline. Typhonus meanwhile just kicks away the putties approaching it. But then, Kimberly and Serge see Serpentera approaching them. All they can do now is keep Serpentera back long enough for Tommy's team to return to their Megazord. Typhonus braces for impact, and at the critical moment, there's a blast from Tommy's Falconzord. The rest of his team enter the Ninja Mega Falconzord, but it's just called the Ninja Megazord here. Kimberly wants Tommy's team to escape, but he shoots down that plan. Kimberly didn't seem to like that. The Rangers used their Zords to take on Serpentera, causing it to limp back. Kimberly felt this was the best chance for all the Rangers to leave the planet. So Kimberly's team reformed the Typhonus Ultrazord, and it flies off with the Ninja Mega Falconzord. Trini or Zack want to let Tommy's team know it was them who helped them out, but Kimberly does not want to do that. Instead, she insists on returning Zordon's energy first. She thinks about talking to Tommy, and she feels isolated. And then the Rangers return to Earth. Kimberly's team return to France, whilst Tommy's team head back to the US. Kimberly contacts Alpha, and calls him by his full designation Alpha 5 again. With the connection established, Kimberly returns her team's energy to Zordon. And with that, Zordon tells them they are all heroes, and it's time the Sword of Light is returned to hiding. Trini asks what will happen to the Zords. Alpha tells her Titanus will return to its hiding place, and interestingly, the other Zords will undergo repairs, even insisting Billy will be excited to study Typhonus. In another surprise move, Alpha gives the whole team a set of communicators just in case of another emergency, and so they can all keep in touch. I guess this means there's always a chance this team can be called into action again. Kimberly rides her motorcycle whilst the sun sets. She arrives home and receives a message from Trini on what appears to be WhatsApp. So Trini, Zack and Kimberly meet at a cafe, and they're not entirely sure if they should just leave Britt and Serge on their own. Kimberly then urges Zack and Trini to go on their trip to Paris, whilst Kimberly decides to stay to catch up with her mom and to hang with Serge and Britt. It turns out Kimberly can't sleep because something is bugging her. So she rides her motorcycle to Serge and Britt's home. Kimberly apologizes to them that their spell as Power Rangers was short, but they tell her that was enough. The siblings have plans for their futures, and before Kimberly leaves them again, she insists they keep in touch. As Kimberly rides off, many thoughts float around in her head. The big one seems to be about Tommy, how he's still an active ranger and that he can't be anything but a ranger. We then flash forward 1 year to Miami at the Pan Global Games training grounds. Kimberly is having trouble writing a letter with several attempts scrunched up and tossed on the floor. The letter she is writing is to Tommy, and that letter is the same one read out in the episode There's No Business Like Snow Business in Power Rangers Zeo. So this confirms that this mini-series was designed to fit in the same timeline as the original TV series, but reimagined in modern times. We then see a shot of Kimberly's phone, and she still keeps in touch with Serge and Trini. There's even a message from Jason about meeting up for lunch. This leads into the Turbo movie, which explains why they're together in that film, and that definitely hinted they were in a relationship. In the end, Kimberly accepts she's no longer a Power Ranger, but is still a hero anyway. So that brings us to the end of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Pink. I have mixed feelings about the ending. Boom Studios obviously tried to fit this into the TV show continuity, but when Tommy's team of Rangers returned to Earth, why didn't Zordon or Alpha tell them Kimberly, Zack and Trini were the other Rangers who helped them out? Jason was unavailable to help Kimberly at the start of the miniseries, but suddenly, she's established contact with him with no explanation. The events in the series led to Kimberly breaking off her relationship with Tommy, but the reasoning in this final issue was just awkward and didn't seem to make much sense to me. Jason is the guy Kimberly is with now, but there's no mention of how they got together in the first place. And in Power Rangers Zeo, Jason was with Emily, but in the Turbo movie, Jason is with Kimberly. On the plus side, it was good to see a new Ultra Zord here, and it's hinted the Thunder Zords are still around if the Rangers ever need them. Zack and Trini have a proper closure, better than what they got by going to the peace conference on the TV show. And we do see the reasoning for why Kimberly broke things off with Tommy, so the letter in the TV show is now justified. On the whole, I did enjoy reading this 6-part miniseries. We got to see what happened to Kimberly between her departure from the show and the Turbo movie. We see Zack and Trini again, who are now together. And we see old Zords return, and with new formations. So Boom Studios did well in giving us a new addition to the story, with some new ideas and fitting all that in within established continuity. So with this mini-series over, I can move on to the next. The Justice League Power Rangers crossover event.